You are listening to episode 69 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name is John. I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast. We're back talking about games that we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and today we jack into the Inflation Deflation Challenge.
All right, well, dude, this week we've been 3 weeks of random episodes that we released. I think we did a D&D episode, a kart racing episode, and then our favorite video game moments in history, which was a lot of fun, by the way.
And let us know what episode you liked the most. It was a lot of fun for us to be able to kind of change the formula up a little bit and try some new stuff. And if you want to hear more of that new stuff, well, we'll leave town eventually.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, so I was out of town for 2.5 weeks or so. So Ryan and I pre-recorded a bunch of stuff. So that's why you didn't see any crazy news. And we had a lot of fun doing those episodes. We should probably do those more often, even if we don't leave town.
We'll mix
that was
it
just
up.
Fun. Yeah, so it was pretty cool. I know a few people actually commented on that D&D one that we did. Really fun episode because other people are doing D&D campaigns outside of their gaming, their video games. And they had a lot of fun with it. And I know we got a lot of great engagement from the piece of, our favorite moments in gaming history. Like, what's that one standout moment that kind of sticks in your mind as your memory, your core memory of gaming? So I think that was really cool. Really got a lot of people interested, and we'll see how it goes from here on out. So I'll let you start because I've had vacation for several weeks. So I would hope that you've had at least a half pickup. And by half, like maybe a 99-cent download or a free download, anything along those lines.
So
are you searching?
I'm double checking that I don't have any app games that I forgot I downloaded.
Did you download the PlayStation games in a month?
Sure did not.
Well, I think you have to download
I
this
haven't
by
gotten anything. It's been 3 weeks and I haven't gotten any new games, and I'll tell you why. Also, I'm a huge disappointment because I still have not beat Final Fantasy 12, and now it's been like almost 3 weeks since the last time I played it, and literally all I have to do is fight the final 3 bosses. Like, it's 2 pages.
Shame.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, so I
All right,
haven't done that.
So hold on. So you could tell the people what you play, but I do want to let you know something, which is interesting because I don't think you knew this. Cartridge Club, who you can find on Facebook and Twitter and everything else, they do a game of the month, okay? And their game of the month for February, you actually played and beat.
Bloodborne. I did not beat it yet.
Okay, well, Cartridge Club, folks, he's close. He'll get there.
So I do intend to beat it. There's a deliberate reason I didn't beat it. There's a deliberate reason I started playing it. John is a big fan of the From Software games. I've only played a little bit of Dark Souls 2, so I've been watching the Beard Bros, the Super Beard Brothers, playing Bloodborne for a long time now, and then I kind of was like, you know what, I finally think that I'm ready to play this game, and not going into it blind, I feel like gave me a lot of advantage, but I did not think the game was that hard. Like, I one-shot at least 3 bosses.
Well, not one shot, as in one hit, guys. One take, yeah, so one try.
Yeah, like I beat Murgo's Wetners just first try off the bat, and it just... I felt like every time I needed to be aggressive, it always worked out. Yeah, it always worked out for me. Like, every time I was losing, I was playing defensively. And Father Gascoigne gave me the most trouble early on. And I was reading that he's kind of that wall at the beginning that you have to get used to. But once I started just getting in there instead of trying to back away, I did a skill build using the whip sword, the whip cane.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, so I used that forever, and then I was finally like, I don't know if I'm actually going to play this game again, so I might as well try other stuff, because I felt kind of dumb getting, like, I think I started messing around with other weapons around maybe the Lost Forest or the Lost Woods. That's like a great place. I did a lot of grinding there for like shards, bloodstone shards and stuff. But I started to mess around with the Blades of Mercy. I tried out Ludwig's Holy Blade. I did not like that one.
Oh, dude, that's my favorite.
Yeah, I just got the Chikagane, the katana.
Yeah.
But that was the last thing. Like, I had to grind out like 6 levels just to get my blood tinge high enough to be able to even use that weapon. But, it just wasn't really... It didn't take me long. It took me like maybe a half hour to grind out those extra 6 levels. And it's still like a ton of blood because I'm at like level 95 or something.
Dude, I put so many hours into that game. I did chalice dungeons. I did bosses with other people to grind out.
I almost think I would go back and play it again just to try to get some weapons earlier and try other weapons out. But the problem is I'm just not going to pay the $20 for the DLC. I was hoping you had it, but you said that there was no physical release of the game with the DLC included on it.
I think only, I want to say a PAL version came out with like the DLC included. I don't believe there's a physical copy outside of that. In the US, I don't think there's a physical copy.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks.
So maybe, down the road, if I ever do decide to replay it, that'll give me something else to look forward to. But I got to wrap up these other games and jump on Persona. And then we've been talking a lot since yesterday about this, but I think that after I wrap up Final Fantasy 12 and I still have Link's Awakening, which is just adorable and it's super fun to kind of sit down, and I'm just kind of playing it for like 10-20 minutes at a time because I don't really have anything else in my Gamefly queue that I'm really ready to pick up.
I know it could go in your Gamefly queue.
Well, you already have it. I'll just borrow yours.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So John really is encouraging me to play Sekiro. And after watching tons of Vati Vidya stuff on all the Souls games and Bloodborne and, Sekiro, it's got me interested to play that. And I'm also super stoked for Elden Ring now, which I didn't care less about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, right? Dude, Sekiro is the best Souls game out there. I don't care what people say. You can trash me all you want. Sekiro is amazing. It is truly the best one. The combat system is by far, like, you can't even compare it. Like, it's fantastic.
It looks awesome, and it's one of those things that I think that I would encourage just about anybody that likes, I guess action games, or anybody who's like really into that kind of Lovecraftian theme. Like, if you haven't played Bloodborne, definitely play it. Don't let the prepare to die Souls moniker kind of scare you off and the get good thing. 90% of the stuff in this game, as long as you just run up to it and hit the right attack, as long as you put them in hit stun, just mash and you'll kill it before it even gets a chance to retaliate. There's only like 2 or 3 enemies in the whole game besides the bosses that you can't just walk up to and smash and move on and smash the next one. Like, once I figured that out, it just became a game of like, okay, which weapon's gonna have the most damage?
What did you think of those butcher guys that had like the big, like, I think it was an axe or something?
The executioners?
Yeah, the executioners.
So the one that was down at the end of the first like road when you get to Yharnam. So that one I never fought.
What?
I never fought that one because it killed the shit out of me the first few times I fought it. So I just avoided it. I mean, it took me a long time to feel comfortable to be able to get just through Yharnam.
Yeah.
So, but like, once I got to Yargul and other places that had the executioners, I was really able to kind of figure out exactly what their pattern was. And I didn't even get very good at parrying in the game either. There's only a few things that I ever really felt like using the parry against.
Did you never parry a boss at any point?
I mean, a couple times, but for the most part, it's just like aggression and getting in and out and just doing a couple hits. Like, I don't have a giant stamina bar in the game because I really spread my skills out so that I could try more stuff. Like, I think I got whatever the minimum for the Chikagne is. I think it's like 12. So I put like 6 levels in that. I think I put like 10 or 12 levels into Arcane so that I could use the Tonitrus and the Wolf's Roar item. I thought that was pretty cool.
I really want to play that game again. It was just so good.
Yeah, like, really is. I could see why people get really into the replay ability, because if you could sequence break some stuff and get some things early, it could totally change the way you play the game. And like, I would love to try just using like the saw cleaver because I never used it.
I used it a little bit, but not too much. It was good. I honestly would want to probably play that game again. But when you run into a situation where you have this many games,
Yeah, replaying something,
Yeah.
it has to be really high on your list if you're going to take the time to replay it and neglect one of the other hundreds that you have lying around.
yeah, and I know other collectors will like sit back and replay games and they truly enjoy that. I just want to experience all that I can with these. And that's really why I enjoy like our inflation deflations, because it gives me an opportunity to play like 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half of a game.
At least to say you tried it.
Yeah, to say that I gave it a shot. And it's kind of like that demo, mentality, right? Like we could demo a game, we check it out, we're like, yeah, this was pretty cool. It's worth trying again.
Yeah,
And
like I still want to pick up and play Parasite Eve
yeah, for sure, dude.
because
Like,
I had a really fun time playing that.
in that hour or so we played of it, like you could totally understand, like, okay, cool, this game is worth giving it a shot.
You recently got a second light gun, didn't you?
No, I need to get a second one. So I have I have the one up there right now.
Well, I thought you said that you got another one.
No, I need
a few
to.
weeks ago.
No, when
No?
did I? No, not that I recall.
My mistake.
No,
But we'll go back to that. Wasn't Vampire Night?
it was Vampire Night. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do need to play that. Okay, so you do need to download the PlayStation games because I think it's Sims 4, BioShock Collection.
I already have the BioShock collection.
Well, then download Sims 4. And there was one other.
Sims?
Sims 4, yeah.
I hate The Sims.
Well, there's something else on there too. Oh, there's some other game. I forget the name of it.
I don't know.
What? At least you'll get a game pickup. You could get 3 game pickups right off the bat. All right, so my pickups this week, and I did all of these, by the way, while I was in New Zealand, which is, well, no, not all of them. I lied. The 2 PS4 games I didn't. So before I left, and I couldn't really say new pickup on, episode 68, I picked up Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. And I picked up the Bard's Tale Director's Cut. I think it's Bard's Tale 4.
Yeah.
And this is based off the older series, not the Bard's Tale we all think of that's on Xbox and PS2, the comedic type thing. This is a Bard's Tale that's been out since, I think the 80s, if I'm correct. And they do have a collection of the other 3 that I need to pick up, and I think it's on PS4. So, other games I picked up, Final Fantasy Chocobo Tales on the 3... Is it a 3DS or DS?
Oh, it is just DS.
It's a DS.
I'm just so used to writing 3DS.
Ryan's trying to confuse me here, but I knew that wasn't a 3DS game. So that one I picked up primarily because my wife is playing a lot of Final Fantasy games here and there. And she was like, I need to know what all the spin-offs are. And it was like $10.
There's
why not?
so many
spin-offs. And she wants to play every Final Fantasy game. And that's a Final Fantasy game, so she wants to play it. And the other one I got was the Toki Retro Collector Edition. So it's kind of like a platformer game with, I think it's an ape, and he shoots things out of his mouth. And so did you see what's on the back of it?
Yeah, it's cool. It comes with a little cardboard stand that you put together and your Switch slots into to make it look like arcade cabinet.
And so that's actually a GameStop exclusive.
Yeah, that's a fun thing.
That's the really cool thing about that is it's exclusive to GameStop. It was I think $26 for a sealed copy. Used to sell for I think 40 or 50 when it first came out. And why not? I mean, it's one of those titles that you look at it now, it's super cheap, it's on a Nintendo console, it's got this crazy cool arcade thing, it's sealed. Why would I not pick that up for that price point?
Yeah.
It's no brainer. So I grabbed that as well. And currently playing, so since my trip back, I have been unpacking, getting ready for work. And then we decided, because we loved New Zealand so much, we needed to rewatch the entire Hobbit extended editions.
Yeah, that must have taken some time.
Yeah, that took some time. That was 3 hours every single day, and I loved every single moment of it. So that was a blast. And I didn't get to play any games. However, from a gaming perspective, okay, you enjoy The Witcher, correct?
Yeah, we really like The Witcher.
Okay. So I finished reading the first book. And I am on the second book now. And I think the second book is something Sword of Destiny, I want to say. I need to look at it. So if you're kind of thinking of the TV show and the relation on that and the game, apparently from articles I've read, because I haven't actually played the games yet.
Well, and the books, I think, take place before the games.
So the first book is kind of like a prequel type series. And if you watch the show... So anybody who hasn't seen the show, check it out. Witcher is actually pretty awesome. The first book pretty much is the show. and it's a combination of the second book I'm reading now. So the first one's like little short stories that kind of cover, like, some of them 3-4 chapters a piece that cover the Witcher or Geralt's adventures, through his world. And every single episode in the show is like a short story within the book.
Does it have the same kind of overarching plot that happened in the first season?
Kind of. So, like, spoiler alert, I guess, for people.
Same kingdom?
Yeah, same kingdom and everything. Some things are a little different. So, like, the scene with, I forget the queen's name offhand, but basically, like, that whole scene, you finished the show, right?
Yeah.
Okay, when... I think it's Jaskier. He says, hey, we're going to go to this party with all this royalty, and I want you there as my backup.
Yeah.
That's not the case. So in the show, the queen, or in the book, the queen has actually hired him, or wants to hire Geralt to complete a task while there. So, like, in the show, if you recall, she's like, hey, Witcher and everything. And then she calls him over and says, hey, come sit over by me.
Yeah.
That's not the case. Like, from the very get-go, he's with her the entire time, and they're talking, and he's like, look, I'm not a hired thug and everything else. And so then after that, it kind of breaks down, like, I think it's Pavetta is her name. That's the or is Pavetta the queen? I forget, man.
I can't remember.
Dude, I read through everything so quick. So you have the princess, and then you have the porcupine guy, I forget his name. They kind of get together, and it's a whole scene over again, just in book form. So I'd say it's super close to that, and from what I've heard, the games themselves are also really close to the novels. So I'm stoked, dude. Like, I'm going to read through this, I'm going to watch a show, and then I'm going to totally play the games of Witcher at some point in time. It is so good.
See, I've not played any of the Witcher games either, and I think that I'm going to wait because Cyberpunk comes out pretty soon too, and that's CD Projekt Red who did The Witcher, so I think I'm going to make that my first CD Projekt Red game, and then I'll be able to go back and appreciate, oh wow, I see how they really pulled this from The Witcher.
Yeah, that'll be pretty cool, man. And are you going to gamefly that?
I'm going to try. I should probably get that in my queue. Like, I'm not really that attached to Link's Awakening, so maybe if I don't beat that before that comes out, I can just delete all of my queue, only put Cyberpunk in my queue, and see if I can get it.
And then never get a game for like a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Hold indefinitely.
So I had mentioned New Zealand, and this kind of jumps into our next piece here, right? So we're going to be talking about GameStop 2.0, and it's really the store that we've always wanted as a teen, but given all of their issues that they've had in the last, couple of years, does that really help us, and does that really want us to go back to them? So during my time in New Zealand, I went ahead and checked out an EB Games, because I haven't been in EB Games in years, and they happen to have them. So the layout, obviously very similar to a GameStop. You walk into the location, you've got your shelves and whatnot. What was really interesting, outside of just a price point, they had multiple 6-foot tables when you walked in, and they had games laid out, and those were like their sale games, ones that they wanted gone like right away. They also had boxes of PlayStation 2 games PlayStation 3 games, chilling out in this like center area. So you had like this counter. Okay, so picture like a 3x3 countertop, and then it had like cabinets underneath on both sides. Okay, and on top of that, they had boxes with just tons and tons of PlayStation 3 games. All right, all of them were actually decently priced. And then underneath in this cabinet were more boxes of like PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 games that you could just fiddle through.
And it's funny because you sent me like a picture with some prices.
It is ridiculous, dude.
And it's funny just because like the exchange rate between here and there, because they were like $120 and 120 New Zealand.
Yeah. So like Red Dead Redemption, I think, was like 70, I want to say, or 60. There's a picture on our Instagram that you could check out. So at the Game Deflators for Instagram. And this particular game, it was a Yakuza 6, I want to say, and it was 120 New Zealand. Even with the exchange rate, you're looking at like $90, I want to say, 92 roughly.
Yeah,
for
I know
this
that
game.
Some countries it's definitely more expensive, and we've got a lot of international listeners. Tell us what a new game costs you at anywhere you can find us. Where can you find us, John?
On Twitter it is at Game Deflators. I just said Instagram at the Game Deflators. Facebook, the Game Deflators. And then, of course, you can listen to us on all of our wonderful podcast applications out
Leave
there.
us a 5-star review on any of those wonderful apps that you may enjoy.
But only 5 stars.
Only 5 stars.
So, in terms
which
of...
inflates to like at least 15 stars in New Zealand.
Oh, easily 15 stars in New Zealand. So, for sure. Yeah, it was crazy, dude. Like, and nothing on that economy or anything like that, but like that was crazy. Like 120 for a game that here in the States you're looking at, you know, maybe 60 for that game. Like it wasn't even, the comparison wasn't even close. So yeah, I'm kind of curious. Like I will never again complain about the price of games ever again. Like at that point, just seeing what it costs them to get a game, and then the lack of game stores too. So like that was Auckland. I think they might have had like 2 GameStops if I'm correct. They had some like D&D stores and stuff. So I don't know if maybe they have video games in there secondhand. And I didn't get to see any retro stores while I was there. But it was really interesting to see that high price point. It makes me wonder like how the whole country is affected from gaming, and like how much gaming do they actually do there given how much it cost.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting too. Like when I went to Japan, because that's where like, you know, games are from, it's a totally opposite there. They've got a million things and they're all really cheap and in super perfect condition, and finding retro stuff is super easy. It's weird like how everybody's gaming is so different. But GameStop is trying to bring back their reputation. We've talked about GameStop a bunch of times in the past. We've talked good GameStop, we've talked bad GameStop, and the new GameStop 2.0 is out. There's some stores in Oklahoma that have been rebranded as the GameStop 2.0, and I really like what I see here. They've opened it up. They've put in, I think it's 36 gaming stations that have access to Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and Switch games. They still sell and have used games there. They also have set up a front area with tabletop gaming stuff, like your basic Dungeons and Dragons books and some dice, place to sit down and play with tables and comfortable chairs. It really seems like they're trying to take away all of this cynical, money-grabbing, throwing pop vinyl in your face kind of thing that we've all grown accustomed to and hate. Because I know that we've talked about before, I used to love going to GameStop. And, you know, I agree with who wrote this one? Go back over to our...
I got it right here. It's Sergio Solorzano.
So, and that's at The Gamer. We'll put up links to all of our articles, as we always do. But I agree that in today's day and age, where people, you know, don't really get together to game online, he says later in the article that, like, you know, the kids will get together to play basketball or watch a movie, but if they want to play Fortnite, they got to get a ride home. So this provides one of those spaces, like, I don't know if you ever went to, like, LAN places where they had, like, all the PCs hooked up.
Yeah.
You know, I've only been to a few of those, and it's cool to be able to go to a place with your friends and hang out and do that. And I think that I would definitely go to one of these if it was the place nearby my house. Like, I would prefer to go there to buy a game than to go to, you know, Walmart or Target or Best Buy. Just because I think the atmosphere in there sounds fun.
Well, it's always, you know, what you think about, right? When you want to play or when you want to buy a new game is, do the people know what they're talking about? You can go to Walmart and say, hey, can you pick up that Yoshi game for me? And half the time they're like, oh, which one? And they're like, look, is this one right here? No, that's not what I want. Like, they're not as, you know, engaged with the gaming community and what's going on versus, you know, all the little bit of crap that we give GameStop. At the same time, they do have, like, as a corporation, yeah, they suck, but their employees are actually knowledgeable. And half the time you go in there and they're trying to push for, you know, hey, have you gotten your power-up rewards and all this other stuff? You know, they're only doing that because that's a corporate push to get that stuff done.
They're required to be that pushy, and it sucks for them because they're all, you know, genuinely passionate people that got a job that, you know, kind of sucks, but it's, you know, if you're going to get a sucky job, it might as well be at least related to something you like.
Yeah, exactly. So I do like the looks of this.
This would be a fun place to work at as opposed to the way GameStop is now,
Yeah.
this GameStop 2.0 sounds like a fun place to work.
Exactly. Like, I think this looks pretty cool. It kind of gives that vibe of like the mom and pop shops in a sense, but it's more of an upscale, quality
It's
atmosphere.
corporate. It's still corporate. Like, you're not gonna. They also talk in the article, people who go to their local comic shop for Friday night D&D, they're not going to abandon that to go to a chain that's trying to give themselves a positive facelift. I mean, that's what's happening here. But, for new people that don't have a place, or just as a better location to go to for those who already go there, I would prefer to go to this GameStop than the current one, just because it would be more comfortable and fun to go to. But this, I think, will really catch on in dying malls in America.
Yeah, which would actually be pretty cool because we've got, the mall right up here down the street from me. And it's okay, but you go in that GameStop, and if you look at, I was talking to my wife about this the other day because we were going in, this particular GameStop absolutely sucks with their like amount of 3DS games they have. But when we went in there,
are they just down to that like glass flat case?
Not even that, dude. They don't even have the glass flat case of loose games. They just had like 10 games total for 3DS, and that was their selection.
On like an end cap? Because that's how they used to have Vita.
That was
You'd go in and the Vita, there'd be like 8 Vita games.
Well, some stores have like, 40, 50, and then others have none. But this one in particular, 10 3DS games throughout the entire store, not a single DS game. It was crazy how few games they had. The PS3 section's minimal. It sucks. But going in there, like, we looked at the different stores. There's like a piano store, and there's like a music store next to it, and there's some random like picture frame store and a mattress store and like secondhand furniture store. Those are the stores that are in that mall right now. There's a reason that mall is not successful and it's going downhill, and it's specifically because they're allowing tenants in there just to try and get any tenant in there, and it's not drawing people to that location. That GameStop will probably be a GameStop that closes because there's nothing drawing people to it. Now,
I mean, I don't know what it's like where everybody else lives, but we have a mall with a Legoland attachment. We have a mall.
And that one's actually a good mall. That's not a bad mall.
Yeah, we have a mall with a aquarium that John used to work at.
Well, that's also the Legoland one.
Yeah, attached to it. We have a mall that just opened up like a giant Crayola thing. Like, not just like a Crayola store, but like a Crayola, what do they call it? Like Imagination Factory
Crayola
or something?
Experience, I think.
Yeah, so they're really trying all this gimmicky stuff. There's a store in there that has those big inflatable balls you get into and run around.
But those are actually working like that, and they have a VR place in there too.
They're trying to bring in things that are going to take you into the mall and keep you there, because people don't, I guess maybe people are just disenfranchised with years of going to the mall and walking around. Like, I know that I don't want to go to the mall unless I have to, because when I was in high school, I spent way too much time at the mall.
Yeah, I go to the mall specifically because there's a game I want to get, or there's an item I want to get, and I know it's at that mall.
Shopping, Christmas,
or food,
birthdays,
or some sort of food that happens to be in that mall.
They closed the McDonald's at the mall. I've never seen a McDonald's close in my whole life.
Well, they might.
Who closes a McDonald's? How is McDonald's not successful?
They could have potentially moved it within the mall.
No, it's closed.
Really? Just done
for like a year and a half now.
Huh.
Maybe 2 years.
Interesting.
Yeah, a closed
Wait,
McDonald's.
is that the one by you?
Chandler.
Oh, Chandler. Okay.
Yeah.
They closed McDonald's in there?
Oh, yeah. They closed the Kona Grill, too.
Well, Kona has been closing in general. But McDonald's, that's interesting. It might just be the movement of anti-McDonald's. Plus, there's a lot of food options in that mall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, outside of food, back to gaming. GameStop 2.0 looks pretty sweet. I would visit one of these stores. I would check it out. And I did find this interesting within the article. It specifically says Fortnite Friday for kids, D&D for dad. You do realize what that's saying about us?
That
Ryan, we're old.
Right?
Okay.
Oh, there was one quote in here that I really liked. Pull up the...
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
you put in your...
I copied it.
Yeah.
So this is GameStop CCO Frank Hamlin. And I really like this quote. He likens it to hype given to E3. I use this incredibly politically incorrectly, he told us. But if E3 is the Vatican, why is GameStop not the local church? And I just think that's such a great corporate rep quote. Like, people love going to E3. Why don't they love going to GameStop?
Well, when you're giving 25 cents on the dollar, and that's being generous, on games, there's a reason people don't go there. They don't want to trade in games to you. And then, to go back to the staff, though, while the staff are great, you have your staff pushing all of this corporate messaging to try and boost up your sales. You've completely gone away from what was gaming into collectibles and the whole Think Geek thing.
Yeah.
They completely deviated from what GameStop was for everybody.
I mean, it used to be that way for me. Like, I still get excited for E3 every year, but I used to go to GameStop at least once a week and pray to games.
Yeah, same here. If they had demo stations, I could play demos. They don't have that anymore.
I know. Oh, man, I played so much of that first desert level of Call of Duty 2 on Xbox 3. Yeah, that was Xbox 360. It was the launch title.
Now, there are a few GameStops that do have demo stations because I've seen them, but it's not consistent across all of them. I think Tempe Marketplace, a GameStop out there, I want to say they have 2 demo kiosks right when you walk in, and then they have a 3DS one. They might still have it. I don't know. They have a 3DS one in the back.
Dude, I don't know. Last time I went into that one, they had a Google Home Station.
Really?
Yeah, it was just like in the middle, there was a table, and it was just, well, here's all the Google Home products. I guess we might as well sell those too.
Again, deviating from what they do.
So anyways, that's enough GameStop for today. Let's move on to
our next article, right? So
I feel like we should have made this our final article.
Maybe, but I'm just going to say, okay, Google, what is the best Final Fantasy of all time?
Boop,
Ryan?
boop.
Boop, boop.
Final Fantasy X, voted best Final Fantasy by Japanese fans in massive survey. Cloud is best character.
That was perfect. Absolutely loved it. So I don't see any notes on here.
This is a Twinfinite article by Giuseppe Nelva, and there was a giant vote in Japan for the best Final Fantasy. Breaking down these numbers, it's actually pretty good. So you had 468,654
Gosh, I
can't
fans.
number today.
Ryan is not good at math.
You break down these numbers.
All right, fine. I am the numbers guy here on this podcast. So voters were pretty evenly split. 50.8% men, we'll say 51, and 49% women. So that's interesting too, just the amount of female fans that are out there out of that. 4.7% of respondents were 19 years old or younger, which is interesting.
It's the second smallest category is people 19 and under.
Well, it doesn't surprise me, though. So 27.3% were 20 to 29, which is right below our age, obviously. And if you think about it, how many 21 and 22-year-olds grew up playing Final Fantasy 7 and 8 and 9 and 10? Not a lot of them.
I guess, yeah, because...
And then look at this, one of the larger numbers, though. So 44.5%
the largest bracket.
Yeah, 30 to 39, which is our age bracket. And then you've got 40 to 49 were 3.6%, and 50 to 59 were a 0.5%. Actually, that was over 60. Yeah, I mixed it up. So 3.6 were between 50 and 59, and then you had 0.5% for over 60. Which
I really like this
those
spread.
over 60 gamers, man.
Yeah, they got a good... chunk of people here doing this survey, and it's really interesting. I would like to see maybe, another list that breaks this down in terms of like which age brackets voted for what,
So I pulled up on my phone. It's a little easier to read than this one. But for anybody out there that's going to complain, Final Fantasy VII fanboys looking at you about, who won here, you're looking at the Japanese fan base, almost 500,000 people voting, and I don't know about overwhelmingly, but, obviously the majority voted Final Fantasy X being the best Final Fantasy.
And I totally agree.
And yeah, exactly. And
I think that a lot of times, especially with long-running games like these and the Tales series and any big JRPG historical franchise like that, you're probably going to be pretty predisposed to, some of the first titles you play. You're probably not going to, over time be able to appreciate all of them in the same level, depending on when you played them. Like Final Fantasy X was like really the first one I sank my teeth into, and, launching on the PS2, it was that same thing that Final Fantasy VII did, that catching lightning in a bottle of upgrading graphics, and upgrading to Final Fantasy X from 9 was just so big and eye-catching and beautiful that, it really engrossed people's imaginations and made them say, this is what Final Fantasy is to me. And Final Fantasy VI is great, But if your first Final Fantasy was 10, it's going to be hard to take those sprites,
Yeah.
as seriously.
Yeah, and I think my first was 8, if I'm correct. And I jumped all back and forth and then played Final Fantasy, the Legend or whatever, or Legend Final Fantasy. Played Mystic Quest years ago. So all these different games I played.
How many games were on this list?
So that's why I got on my phone. So this one had 30, it looks like, games. Yeah, so I got an accurate one here.
Okay.
So 30 games, and we're looking at things like Final Fantasy Record Keepers on here, the first Final Fantasy, Tactics Advance, which is actually, I think, a very underrated game. It's a fantastic game.
Oh, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance was great. You know what I can't believe? I can't believe that Final Fantasy Type O hit 16 on this. Final Fantasy Type O beat out like some pretty, nominal titles, I think, and I just can't believe that because the only reason anybody bought that was for the Final Fantasy 15 demo. As far as I know,
I actually need to buy that one still. So yeah, that's all. I mean, we're looking at 30 games from all types of life of Final Fantasy. So this isn't a matter of like looking at Final Fantasy 1 through 15 and saying which is the best one. Oh, why isn't 7 better? I mean, we're talking a lot of Final Fantasy games out there to split up that vote. So boss and summons. The number one boss and summon. It's the same category.
It's got to be Bahamut.
No, actually, it's Knights of the Round from Final Fantasy 7. So that was interesting. The next one that we had was favorite character. This one's a no-brainer. Cloud. Cloud was obviously the best character in here, followed by Yuna, though, oddly enough.
Yeah, I mean, Yuna's killer.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you completely max out her sphere gun, you're dealing 99,000 damage like I have.
Well, but I mean, she's a great character in her story.
Yeah,
and I would argue that she has more character than Cloud does, because Cloud doesn't talk.
Yeah, that's actually very true. But you know what? I would go as far as Waka. Waka was fun.
Waka waka.
And music-wise, I'll say I was a little shocked on this because I expected One Winged Angel to be number one. It's actually at Xanarkand.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, that's a great one.
That is a fantastic musical piece. And that whole game had some of the best musical scores of any Final Fantasy. By far.
Gosh, the Cloister of Trials music, just forever in my head.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I know. Like, if you have not played Final Fantasy X out there, you've got to play it. I mean, they've got tons of remasters on like PS3, HD remake, or not HD remakes, but HD upgrades on PS4.
And it's always bundled with 10-2,
exactly.
Which is an okay game. But, man, I really want to play those on Vita, but that's why I got that Persona I got to get to.
So, let's kind of go into this on what we agree, what we don't agree.
All right.
Series. Your top 2 Final Fantasy series that you've played.
So my top 2 games are definitely Final Fantasy X, and I mean, God, it might as well be 7 because all of them are so at different parts for me. I don't think I've ever actually beaten a mainline Final Fantasy game. But I have beaten some of the other ones a little bit here or there, like Tactics Advance was really awesome.
Yeah.
But, man, I think that it's got to be 10 and 7. I mean, 15's really cool, but I didn't get that, I don't even know if I got halfway through 15. 9's really cool, but I'm almost done with 12. And
that one's all right. Yeah.
It's okay. It's cool. I like what it does different, but, I mean, it's just 10 and 7 are so impactful as games that I can't imagine picking anyone over those 2.
So I'd say my top 2.
We'll see what happens with 7 Remake, though.
Yeah, that actually looks pretty good.
That comes out in like a few weeks now.
I'm not paying $60 for a part 1, though. I will not do that. It's just, I'll wait. I'll wait 8 years to play that game.
Well, I mean, we've seen what happened with all of the different Kingdom Hearts, and this is still Square, so...
Yeah, exactly. So maybe 20 years from now.
Right.
So my tops would be Final Fantasy X and actually Final Fantasy VIII.
Okay.
So 8, before I get crapped all over on this one, Final Fantasy VIII, I felt, had a really cool, like, limit break system. Well, I forget what they called it in that one. But I liked it. And then the overall building of your character was based off of the drawing of spells. So for Squall, for example, if you wanted to get like crazy damage, you would take like the Ultima spell and attach it to your ultimate weapon as an, not an upgrade, but to help kind of charge it up. Dude, I had like, I think it was Irving, Squall, and it was Zell were my final characters for that game. And I completely demolished Ultimecia in that game. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed playing 8. I have memories of it because one of my best friends is in elementary school had it. And so he and I, when we do sleepovers and stuff, would just play Final Fantasy 8 and Mortal Kombat, Sub-Zero for some reason, and Twisted Metal. That's actually what got me into Twisted Metal franchise. So a lot of cool memories there. And speaking of memories, go check out episode 68. You'll have a blast with that. And yeah, dude, it was great. And in 10, of course, I've beaten 3 times.
Yeah.
And 100+ hours each of those 3 times.
Man, that's taken a lot of time from other games on your shelf.
Yeah, it really has. That's like 6 games right there, 6 RPGs that have been spent on just 10. And I would totally play 10 again.
Yeah. What's our next category?
Our next category we'll say is Boss and Summon, because that's what I said. They had Knights of the Round, obviously, and Kefka from Final Fantasy VI. What would you say is your top 2 summons?
Top 2... Well, summon and boss.
Yeah, you can do summon and boss, yeah.
I always thought that the cutscene where you're at the Blitzball tournament and Seymour summons Anima was pretty awesome.
That was pretty badass, yeah.
Yeah. I always thought that was really cool. All the Final Fantasy 10 summons are awesome. And then boss, I think that
so Anima would be your number 1 summon?
Yeah, I think he's really cool. Give me a sec to think about the boss. What about you?
Okay, so for me, I would say my favorite summon would have to be Mage's Sisters from Final Fantasy X. The ability to control your summons in that game was awesome, but Mage's Sisters pretty much like created a party for you, right? So you had an extra party that you'd go into battle with, and it was just fun, like being able to play those 3 characters. And the process of getting those 3 as well. I forget, was it the planes? It was like the Chocobo planes or something in 10. I don't remember the name of it. But, the calm planes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you had to go through all of that. And that's where you got like an ultimate weapon for
you had to do all of the beast taming.
Yeah,
to get the Magic Sisters.
So
right?
much grinding. Like if anybody out there is like in the middle of the game or plans on playing a game, the beast capturing is by far your best friend. And once you get to Dawn Toneberry, you could pretty much level grind like crazy in that game. Like you will run out of spheres to level up your characters. So that whole process and that whole area was really cool. And it really that was when you play that game, that's kind of like, I think that midpoint really, where you get there and you're like, okay, yeah, like this game is great. Like it just opens up and you're like, wow, this is actually fantastic. So that was probably my favorite summon. I would say my favorite boss, I kind of wanted to say Sephiroth, but when you look at it from an engagement standpoint within the entire game, Seymour, by far.
Yeah, Seymour's awesome.
I think he is the best boss of any Final Fantasy. The entire time, I mean, he's just manipulating you. He, obviously is trying to gain political exposure. He pretty much becomes a weapon himself. It's amazing. Like the entire process that he goes through, his voice acting, the voice actor for that was great. And I would just say that his character development is phenomenal. By far one of the best of all time. Now, it does help that, we had voice acting in that Final Fantasy, and it was the first Final Fantasy that had like true voices, like just straight out cutscenes with voices and whatnot. So I would say Seymour, but there's kind of that like, it could have been somebody else, but all of that voice acting really kind of muddies things up.
Yeah, I think that I'm gonna go with either the Ghost Train from Final Fantasy VI because everybody loves that, and I think that's fun that you could suplex the Ghost Train.
Yeah.
Or maybe that, I can't remember the name of it. I always like that boss in the mansion where it's like,
Talking about 7?
Yeah, it's like purple and orange, and sometimes you can't hit it with magic, and sometimes you can't hit it with physical.
It's been about 15 years since I played Final Fantasy VII.
It's in the place where you get Vincent.
Yeah, I know where you're talking about. I know the enemy you're talking about. I just haven't played this game in so long.
Yeah, I haven't either, but I always thought that was a fun mechanic. I really like the chocobo eater, how it can like push you off the cliff, and
yes.
it kind of plays out the story a little bit different in that part. There's been a lot of creative bosses, but most of them just don't really stand out as being that interesting. Like especially like the Final Fantasy 12 bosses. Like, man, I blew through all of those and I barely remember any of them.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Our next category here, we'll say character.
I can't even think of a boss from Final Fantasy 15 except for like the one robot guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Characters. Who do you got?
Characters. My girl Yuna is awesome. I think that I really like Barrett's character a lot. I love all the boys in Final Fantasy 15, like especially if you go back and you watch the like prequel anime that they made that shows how they all got to know each other. Oh man, that like
I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, watch that and then watch the intro to Final Fantasy 15 with the Stand By Me, and it just all makes so much more sense that these are like the bros.
Gotcha. Yeah, I need to do that and play the DLC on that game. So for me, I would say my favorites are Sephiroth, which now I get to do another boss here, right? So Sephiroth was one of my favorite characters. His entire, just his ego, how he came to be, everything. It's great. Like I love that character, and of course he has some of the best theme music of all time. So him, and then I would say Jecht from 10.
Yeah,
Jecht was like your boat beach hobo who happened to be like amazing at blitzball. Like it was, and that's another part of that game. That's just
Auron was great too.
Auron was good. Like he had that kind of stoic,
what's your story?
Yeah, that type of deal going on. Jecht was just like this obnoxious hobo guy that happened to go with was it Yuna's dad or something, or
Auron?
Yeah, and Auron, and that whole experience. So I would say Jecht, number one for sure, and then Sephiroth. For you said who on the characters?
Oh, Yuna or Barrett, or I don't know. There's lots of great characters. It's hard to pick.
It's hard to pick. All right.
I'll just go with my girl Yuna.
All right.
Because she was number 2 on their list, and I find that strong, persuasive numbering.
Music. So basically, best musical score.
Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm.
Really?
For 3DS.
Okay.
Because it's a musical game that has all of the tracks from all of the Final Fantasies.
That's cheating.
I don't think so.
Fine. All right. So I would say that Ad Zanarkand is
definitely beautiful.
Number 1 on my list. And then for me, it'd be One Winged Angel. That's just, it's such an iconic song within the Final Fantasy franchise. It's used in Final Fantasy 15 in the car. It's used obviously in 7. And then it is also tied into Kingdom Hearts.
The battle musics.
Oh yeah.
Let's not forget like all of the great iterations on the victory jingle.
Well, and how about theme songs? Like you have Final Fantasy VII's theme song when you just get to the menu.
Yeah.
The menu theme is great on that. So there's a lot of great musical scores out there. Really.
Oh, the Final Fantasy X menu music's great too.
Yeah, that is pretty good. So at the end of the day, I look at this and there's times where I look at Final Fantasy, I'm like, man, like they just keep pumping these things out. But dude, like it's positive. Like you have 500,000 fans that have voted for this. Tons of people talk about it all the time. The games are like, they never really let you down for the most part outside of the side games. And they're just beautiful pieces of gaming art. There's nothing like it. And there are tons of RPG titles out there, but I would say this is by far, the best franchise. What's up? Are you looking at this right here? I'm gonna be open with Ryan here and talking to podcast on what he's looking for.
I think that we should move on because we're going kind of long in the tooth here, and we should get on to the inflation deflation challenge.
I was, sir. Oh, you don't want to do this article really quick? I'll spend 1 minute, I promise. 1 minute, okay? Somebody out there time me because it's going to take longer than a minute. So Rockstar Games is updating its website. There's some mysterious new imagery that's going on right now. They had like this Oscar Android type thing hugging the Rockstar logo, and they've changed some colors as well on there. And it's got people questioning, what are they doing? Rockstar in the past has been kind of silent, right, on how they announce their games, and it's not like this massive overexposure.
You want to tease it out. E3 is still a few months away, folks.
Exactly. I do a lot of teasing. They've done it over the years. So people are speculating, is it Grand Theft Auto 6? Because there's been rumors swirling around that. Or is it Bully number 2? I haven't played
I'd rather
Bully.
see a new IP.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. A new IP would be cool. But Bully 2 would be interesting, along with a Bully remake.
See, I feel like it's just been so long since Bully that, like, I don't know. I feel like the idea of going back to that isn't going to yield as much great stuff. I mean, I don't know. It really all depends on, Rockstar's great about telling stories about characters. So unless you come up with somebody who's really compelling, that's like, what's the great story of this kid in high school supposed to be? What's he supposed to be going through? Like when Bully came out, I feel like things were a lot different than they are now. And a lot of the, humor and stuff Rockstar may not back down from, but do you really need like
another one?
Well, another show or another game that's just going to be like GTA.
Well, see, Bully 2 is supposed to be his growth through maturity to turn into Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh.
Yeah. Totally different franchise. Okay, so we'll get out of that, but anybody that plays Rockstar Games or enjoys a Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, all that good stuff, they're teasing something. Go check it out. Try and figure out what it is. And, of course, tweet us when you figure it out. We'll jump into the Inflation Deflation Challenge now. This week we played Mega Man Network Transmission. I used to love the Mega Man. I think it was NT Warrior that was on the WB when I was a kid.
Yeah, I never got to watch a whole lot of that show, but I do remember all of the character designs and stuff about this. I remember reading about this game and the Game Boy Advanced game that accompanied it at the same time.
I think I had the GBA game.
Yeah, and I remember always being interested, but never really taking that step to get involved because I did not have very much history with Mega Man because those games are hard.
Yeah, they are pretty hard. This game, honestly, was kind of hard at times, but you have all these chips and whatnot that make it super easy. So let's go into the background here, man. If you want to lead that off, you got a better view of the TV.
All right, so we
me.
have developed by Eureka, published by Capcom and Show Pro Entertainment, directed by Akira Kurobayashi, and released in June of 2003. It's a action platforming RPG. Think your regular standard Mega Man, but inside of an RPG. Slap on a nice looking cell shaded skin over it, tweak your character designs a little bit, and have a super upbeat protagonist and his friends, and you've basically got a recipe for this type of game. Now, a lot of the reception on this was pretty flat. 6 out of 10 is its average, and I can really see what they're saying in there. This game has a lot of kind of BS, which, Mega Man is supposed to be like a hard but fair, but this has like a lot of BS. I mean, in just the first, couple levels that we were playing through on this, I mean, it took so many blasts from the regular blaster to even get it to do anything to an enemy. Like, you'd sit there and you'd be like 10 shots an enemy to kill them, and it was too long. And then there's this whole system of chips. You're the kid, you've got Mega Man as your avatar, and you jack in to the system to delete viruses. So of course you've got to have chips that you plug into your Mega Man to give him, the ability to use the sword or the ability to shoot a cannon instead of just his regular buster. And those attacks are going to do a lot more damage and be able to get you through these enemies. But as far as we could tell, it seems like they're kind of randomized. You have a certain number of chip options, and over the course of playing the normal side-scrolling in the network mode, which is basically all we did. We did not really get to any of the outside mode.
I did a little bit actually.
Stuff.
You had the ability to buy different like chips and stuff.
Yeah. So once you're playing through the missions, you have a meter up top that fills, and once that meter fills, you can request like a pack of chips, and they just kind of come in randomly, and you're not really sure what or how many you're going to get. I'm not really sure how your refills of those go, because some of them we had like 16 of, and some of them we had like 2 of. So, we didn't get a lot of time to really dive into it, but honestly, I think it seemed like it was a pretty cool game. Like, despite the BS in it, I think that it was enough to have held my attention, and I can see myself back in 2003 probably being very into this game had I given it the chance.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that, man. So 6 out of 10, I think, kind of does this a little disservice. I think it might be more like a 7 out of 10 in my mind. It has that Mega Man feel to it. I would say some of it's probably because it's Mega Man Network transmission. It's not, iconic Mega Man, but it kind of is, right?
Well, and for an RPG, they have to give you somewhere to grow. So you have to kind of start
Exactly.
off a little nerfed so that you can get better.
And if you're a fan of the network or, NT Warrior and all that type of stuff, or NT, you can, they literally have like a disc thing on their arm that they pop into chips and like they have those characters play out, right? So it's kind of like that overarching, like, I'm a character controlling a character who controls Mega Man type of thing. And it's really cool.
Very meta.
Yeah, exactly. And so the overall like RPG elements, we didn't really get too deep into, but I could see like you can grow Mega Man's strength. You have different chips that like sub chips you can add. Obviously you have the chips that you use that are randomized. So you have your map, your ability to jack in and out of the different worlds, or not worlds, but the different levels. And then you have your purchasing option and whatnot. So the RPG elements are there. The platforming elements are still there. It's a beautiful looking game. The voice acting, unless there's a setting that I didn't know of, was in Japanese with subtitles and was really cool. And I enjoyed it, dude. It was really fun. So looking at this from a price standpoint, you're seeing $14.28 complete in box right now. And a peak back in 2014 in December for $17. Game's kind of trending up. And then on a loose area, you were looking at $8.34 loose with a peak in 2016 for $12, and that's trending downwards. So people are really wanting their complete in box GameCube games. And the most expensive version is the PAL version at about $27.93, and the cheapest version, of course, is North America. What is different? It's apparently we have cheap games here.
Yep.
So, dude, for me, this game,
I wonder what this goes for in New Zealand. Let us know if you're listening from New Zealand.
$50 probably. So no, 27 obviously. Well, it's 27 US. So if you did a quick conversion rate on that, you're looking at about $40, I think, roughly. Which close to 50. So I would say $14.28 for a US version complete in box might be a little too low. I would think more in the 15 range for this game would be pretty fair.
I think it's perfect. I think this is totally worth a pickup. I think that if you watch the cartoon as a kid, if you are looking for something interesting to try out for your GameCube, or you're just a collector of Mega Man, you love Mega Man, you got to have all the Mega Men, and you don't have this man, get it, man.
I'm sticking to 15, dude. I think you can deflate this one.
You're calling it deflated? Come
on, it's 72 cents more.
I would pay that extra dollar.
Okay, thank you. So, game, I would say, is deflated.
Deflated, just barely, but it's there.
Just barely, but yeah. So $15, you wouldn't be doing yourself a disservice, and I think you would have some fun with this game. And if you're a Mega Man fan, you're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, next week we are playing Sonic 3D Blast on the Sega Saturn, and Ryan is going to. And by the way, we'll jump in this really quick. Ryan's going to watch the.
I'm going to go see Sonic movie. John already saw it
in New Zealand.
Yeah, I have not seen it yet, so we'll talk about all things Sonic next week,
dude. The Sonic movie. I really think you're going to enjoy it. Do stay for. There's a mid-scene credits. in there that I think you're really going to like if you haven't spoiled it for yourself already.
No.
It's a must-see movie. I really enjoyed it. Jim Carrey did a pretty good job as Dr. Robotnik. And
next week we're going to talk about all of this stuff.
But I'm so excited about next week.
We'll get there.
All right. So that is
hopefully the week goes by fast.
Hopefully, yeah, because I don't want to be at work. Yeah. Okay, so this is episode 69 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and
I'm Ryan.
And we don't do this anymore, but we're the Game Deflators.
Woo!
All right. Talk to you guys next time.